और इतना ज़्यादा बहका कि मेरी पीठ ही टूट गई.
We don't make true stories. Why don't we adapt true stories the way they do in the West? JNU students keep protesting against the government, and the government keep shoving them in jail. So awesome.
तो मेरे को लगता है कि वो हमेशा कंट्रोल में है एंड ही फील्स कि ये तो उसने तो देखा है ना 20 साल से ये सब होते हुए, तो वो कर रहा है इसको एंड उसको बोला जाके कर ले. सो आई थिंक तोमर जो है ना ये बड़ा ही
Just to fill me, just to fill me.
Vikram, Satyanshu, welcome today and welcome to the Kalakoda Festival. It means a lot that all of you made time for this wonderful festival. Just want to tell the audience, it's the 25th year of the festival, and the beautiful thing is that it's all for free. There's absolutely no charge or anything. So I think we should give a round of applause for the festival. कहानी तो लिखित रूप में थी हमेशा से, लेकिन ये जो एक कहता है ना कि there is only a time for a story that happens. ये वक्त इस कहानी का कब आया सत्यान्शु विक्रम आप बताएं.
2020 में. So in the middle of the pandemic, I got a call from this gentleman called Josie Joseph. He's a very famous journalist. There's a company that they have called Confluence Media. और Confluence का ये काम ही है कि मतलब they find these lovely books and they talk to the authors because of all their network, they have the rights. So I don't know why. Maybe he called me up and said कि अरे अच्छी किताब है पढ़ लो. I read it. I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. I said very interesting to read a book which is dramatic in the sense that it's got all these crazy stories about a jail. मतलब जेल तो शायद हम कभी जाएंगे नहीं अपनी लाइफ में, hopefully nobody. The 0.0001% of people who do, it's that story. It's a story of a phenomenal protagonist. You know, in the worst kind of place, you have somebody who's going to go in there, and whether he's going to sink, whether he's going to swim, you don't really know it. And I thought that was incredible. But mostly for me was the true life part of it. The fact that you meet Mr. Charles Sobraj, who actually got Sunil Gupta's job, or you have the hanging of Ranga and Billa, or you have all these students escaping. These are true life stories in the jail, and you're like, this cannot be true, this cannot be real, this is phenomenal. So that whole mix for me was fantastic. I thought this would make an amazing series. And then I sent the book to Satyanshu, and he will tell you some.
Again, I don't know why he sent the book to me, but as creators, as writers, you constantly question why we don't make true stories, why don't we adapt true stories the way they do in the West. They have a recent film on Donald Trump, and why don't we do that? So when I read the book, it was an opportunity to do that. Just take these real life characters and create a sense of a dramatic continuity. So I was absolutely thrilled when I read the book because of two reasons. One, the subject matter, and the opportunity to work with him 15 years after Udaan. So, yeah, 10 years after Udaan, yes. Yeah. So it took us almost 5 years to make it.
Wow. So of course the characters are really interesting, they are brought to life by each of you. But there is a sense of, there are two things, right? When you write a book, you're writing it for the purpose of a book. But when you're writing it for a screenplay, you're actually looking at a very different lens. You're dramatizing these sort of, pieces and making them stand alone as these wonderful episodes. So just because I don't believe that any of us can be actors without understanding the basic skill of writing. So how is Black Warren's writing interesting or different in any way that the two of you have done together before? Or is there a different muscle that you exercise for this show?
No, actually, it's funny that people are watching it. They're saying that it's very different. It's unlike they have anything that they have seen before. But the writing principles are mostly the same. For example, the book is a 35-year-long account of this jailer. Our job was to figure out which time span from the book will make into this good story for the first season. And we thought that it is a coming of age kind of story where a young boy enters the jail and becomes a man. So identifying that arc is very important. Once you identify that long arc between the beginning and the end of the season, then you can locate your, say, episodic arcs, or when you enter a scene as an actor, You can play that scene only if you have an understanding of the overall arc of what you are doing. So for everyone who is going to play Sunil Gupta today, the arc for you is that you enter Tihar jail as a boy next door, but you spend your first 3 years there and you become this man who is kind of confident in the ecosystem as a jailer.
Thank you so much for capturing that. Today I want to ask you to take the mic and talk to me about casting, because I think that a lot of people here, there's an acting workshop that follows this. Let's ask you, at least with the 4 exhibits that we have on stage today. Exhibits is nice, right? What is it that you look for when you're casting for these characters, and what did you find in each of them?
Okay, so actually, I'm glad you asked me these four because each of their casting has been very different, and that's why there's not one blanket approach to casting. Zahan was a cold audition. I had not seen Zahan had made message a couple of times before. I knew who he was, but I didn't know he was auditioning. I had no clue he had auditioned. So we have these weekly reviews of what they've done. Mukesh came with his team, and Zahan's audition popped up. And it's kind of like within the first 15-20 seconds, you're sort of sold. You're like, okay, this guy is it, because it was the opening scene of the series. It's the scene where he's gone to get his job. So very meta, first of all. Watching an audition of an audition. And it was wonderful. And so Zahan was that's how it was. And I was like, okay, he's there. He's got the nervousness. He's got the energy right. He's trying to get the language right as well. There's a certain amount, but also trying to exude confidence. I mean, everything that you want in that character was there, and I know that he had done his homework and read the book and everything before he came, which I actually got to know afterwards. I didn't know before.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty incredible. Dahiya was interesting. I loved his audition, but we cast somebody else who had another audition. Mainly because of their physical appearance, in the sense that Dahiya was written as a tough character, someone who is, can easily kind of like, you'd be scared of like messing with this guy if you crossed him in the jail. So we cast somebody physically a little bit more, and then that person dropped out about 3 weeks before shooting. And immediately, I was telling the team the moment this happened, it was literally while we were actually sort of like talking, Satyanshu came to me and says that actor has dropped out. And immediately I was like, but what about that guy? The one we liked. Because he came from the audition with a full uniform on, had done this entire like jail uniform. So immediately you're seeing, and it's exactly the look that we actually had in the show, with that hair and that slight stubble. And I said, you could smell this guy on the screen. I'm like, I want that actor. Let's see his audition again. Immediately saw his auditions. That same day, we're like, fuck it, let's go and cast and best decision. I mean, it was like, you realize that it's all that the power that you wanted and the sense of like that physicality is all in the impression. It's all. I mean, Napoleon was 5 feet. You know what I mean? Like you don't need to be physically big to exude a sense of power. So that was with Anurag. Rahul Bhatt, we've seen in Ugly, and I've seen in Kennedy. I don't know how many people have the privilege of having seen that. And I loved him in Kennedy, and I thought that he was incredible in that. And again, Tomar sir's casting in his character was a little tricky. We didn't know who to go with. We went to Tihar, and we saw this one guy in Tihar who was this one ASP who was impeccably dressed in his uniform. It fit so well, and you could see his body and everything like that. And I said, like, Dad, shouldn't Tomar be like this? Like he's this, like he has this power that he exudes, and he's really good looking, and you don't know why he's taking this job. Like you don't understand why he could have easily been somewhere else. He could have been whatever, And somewhere I think that mystery, and I think kind of connected it with Rahul, and maybe it was having seen Kennedy and living in the sort of echo of it, where I called him up, and of course it's lovely because I take the opportunity every time actors tell me that I want to work with you, then I'm like, now you said it. Now you can't say no. So then I called him up, I'm like, you said you want to work with me, so now you have to work with me. So that's how Rahul came on board. And Siddhant was I've worked with him in Jubilee, so I know what he can do, and he's magical. It was Mukesh Chabra's idea because Charles was a bit of nervous casting for us. It's Charles Sobraj, who do you cast? It's not the lead role in the show, so it's a tricky phone call, to make. But do we go authentic, for example? Do you get a French Vietnamese person? Do you actually go and cast somebody from outside or whatever? And then Mukesh suggested Siddhant's name, and it was one of those like very very inspired suggestion. Took out his photo immediately, tried to imagine him with the glasses and all that sort of stuff. And I think we did a look test. Called him up, asked him if he was into it, sent him the draft of the pilot. He read it. He said yes. I said yeah. So I said yeah, okay, fine.
Wow.
So it's very different. All of them very different.
But yeah, you're right. So glad I asked this question because as actors or actors in waiting, you always wonder, what it takes. And honestly, what I'm listening, what I'm hearing here is that it all stems from the script. Okay, it all stems from the characters you want to cast. It also looks for a good director who is able to see that, and a great casting director who's able to suggest that. So it's not by chance or by luck. What these boys have brought to it, of course, and I use the term voice very generously for some of you, but I want to say that it's absolutely phenomenal. And I know you're dying to hear them talk, but they prefer that their work does the talking. So in this next segment, what we're going to do is, especially for the ones who are sitting here, we're going to play out 4 scenes, alright? And each of these scenes will be scenes that you will pick up and you will be exercising with the cast. So in scenes को ध्यान से देखिएगा, because you might find something within a scene that you might want to work at. So shall we play this? Before that, can I please request our lovely cast, include to stand up so that we take the sides. I will just
Thank you everyone for coming. This scene, in many ways, is the first. I think when we were discussing it, is the first time that you see Sunil put himself, stick out on a limb, in a sense. Like he interrupts the guided tour that Tomar Saab is giving everyone, because he sees that there's a sense of an oversight, right? It's like, but if you're saying this, then there should be this. So he kind of, it reveals that he is concerned about a normative idea, which is that if this is how it's supposed to be, then this is how it's supposed to be. So then that's our job. So he's a Lakir ka Fakir in that sense. The notes, in a way, like how we played it, I think there was so much going on physically on the day, with regards to, it was a long continuous scene. We played it out right from the entry into the ward. We're all following Tomar Saab. We get news that there's a snake. Now, so then the first thing is, how many things are you processing? Oh, okay, there's this information I'm trying to process. Then you're telling me that there's a dangerous snake. Now you're telling me that, when they catch a snake, this can happen. You get 15 days remission. Then you see the snake. Then you're realizing, oh my God, this is the chaos. Then there's a conflict at hand. There's 2 people who are fighting and saying, I did it. Tomar Saab's decision is, okay, both of you all have done, so nobody wins. My decision is, but somebody did do it, somebody should win. It's only fair. And the scene was then, from then on out, is, I should not have said that. And it's that I should not have opened my mouth. And then the threat of the new boss, and everything is on the line. It's always this thing of, this is the first opportunity, don't mess it up. Don't do something to jeopardize what I want. And then Tomar Saab basically says, okay, if you think that something should happen, do it. And it's literally being thrown into the deep end, and now it's the first time where will he sink or swim is actually tested.
तोमर साहब, हम बताइए कि इतने इंटिमिडेटिंग होने के लिए क्या खाना पड़ता है हर सुबह ब्रेकफास्ट में? काब जाते हैं लोग इस फिल्म में देखते हुए भी I feel there is a beautiful menace that this character Tomar brings to the show. And in this scene, when you say, when you give up control, it's even more scary. You know what I'm saying? Because actually फटती तब है जब आपका सीनियर आपसे बोलता है कि इतना ही शौक है तुम करो बिना वो बोले. So it's a beautiful scene, even in the writing of it. Please talk to us about it.
So I think on that question of yours कि क्या खाना पड़ता है, वो मुझे लगता है कि अथॉरिटी तब आती है जब आप रिलैक्स होते हो बहुत, तो हवा खानी पड़ती है बहुत, रिलैक्स, तो आती है अथॉरिटी. एक जो भी आप बॉस देखेंगे, कभी कोई भी बॉस होगा वो चिल्लाता नहीं है ज़्यादा, ए पता कर, ऐसे. दिस सीन कुड हैव बीन प्लेड दैट वे आल्सो, पता कर, पता मुझे, or something like that. But no, he just coolly, he doesn't say anything. But then it also credit goes to the director, because the way he places you there, and you know, you take, as an actor, I have taken a lot of silences in it. If you see, there's a lot of silence. I look there, I look back, I kind of pull him to me. All that is acting, but then the director is also helping you with his camera, where he's placing the camera, how he's capturing your authority, how he places the background music. अब इसी में अगर चार्ली चैपलिन का background music डालोगे तो अलग लगेगा. But when you, the whole thing changes when you see how the music plays. वो सब करते हैं. But I feel the most important part about acting is that one has to be very calm and relaxed before doing anything. That has to be in general. But when you are playing a boss, then in particular, you have to calm down. बताने की ज़रूरत नहीं मैं बॉस हूँ, लोग जानते हैं, स्क्रिप्ट में लिखा है, वो सारे जमा हो गए हैं, वो साइलेंट हो गए, उनके ऊपर चिल्लाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. So that I think is the way Zahan reacts to it, because all this works, authority works only when your other actors around you, all the junior actors, all this, how director kind of sets it up. So you don't have to do much. You just have to show up, like, be cool.
Cool, be cool. It's a great tip. I feel आज राहुल जी ने जो बात कही है, it's not just for actors, but if anybody is here who's a manager, one of the greatest tips for real life, वो यहाँ पर उल्टा हो रहा है कि real is actually impacting real. If you're a manager, the first thing you have to do is relax. You are already the manager. I think I love that. I love that. Thank you each and every one of you. We'll come back for the next scene. Thank you for your time. I hope you guys are taking inputs, because these are the scenes you're going to workshop, okay? So remember what they said. Thank you. Vikram, the question. The musical choices in Black Warrant are its own essay. Can we please say that? It's the 80s, it's disco, it's Bollywood, and who would have assumed that Tihar Jail ke backdrop pe aap hame disco sunate? So let's talk about that.
It all stems from those who've seen the show and those who've seen episode 2 and where episode 2 goes. And I felt that if that's going to be your, if that's going to be the kind of like the slap of the show, then I didn't want anything to go lower than that as far as that's concerned. So I think, and the approach, that me and Ajay Jayanti took on this one overall was the fact that let's you want to make an entertaining show about jail, because immediately when you think about what's a show about jail going to be like, you imagine it to be grim and dark and tense and all those kind of things. I'm like, let's break all that. Let's not make it that show. Let's make the entry. Let's make it slightly voyeuristic, but let's make it entertaining. Let's make it rock and roll. Let's go with that kind of approach. So from the beginning itself, when Sunil comes to jail for the very first time, it's emotional. But the moment he's been given that letter in his hand and said, "Welcome to Tihar Jail, sir," by Charles, from then on, you're in. Now rock and roll starts here. So you're taking that as the approach throughout. And we've kind of kept that sort of throughout the entire season. And there's an arc that Sunil has of a, you know, zero to hero, if you would, if that's the very basic way of kind of saying it. Which, and there's a completion from a musical sense as well. For any interesting filmmaker, there's a completion arc as well with the music. And I mean, I love background scores. For me, it's like I geek out on those things.
I loved it, and I must say that I don't know how many of us have had the opportunity, but I have, thanks to you, Vikram, to watch Indira's Emergency, and I just feel like these two pieces, you know, whenever it is time, people should watch it back to back because it kind of starts there and then it goes here. It's a parallel time. Also, the graphics, you know, used in both are so similar for the opening titles, and I do hope you'll get to watch it at some point. But back to this scene. I do want to talk to Satyanshu about writing of this scene because Satyanshu, the horrors just get more and more intense because suddenly now the boys, and these are young boys, they're faced with the prospect of meeting people who are exactly like them, perhaps a little younger than them. So, and there's so many of them. So there's this impending horror of पहले तो ये students हैं, दूसरी बात तो इतनी तादाद में है. Could you talk to us about a note that was important for you to strike in this scene?
Yeah, I was very excited that I get to tell the story of JNU students in Tihar. We are telling a period piece, but some things never change, looks like. JNU students keep protesting against the government and the government keeps shoving them in jail. So awesome. I was very excited. But I also thought that there was a time when I wanted to direct this episode instead of episode 5. Because often in my work, I try to find an enduring humor, and this episode was an opportunity for that. In fact, the working title of this episode was Child's Play, because it is about these kids in Tihar, and then they manage to run out. So for me, I think that tonal shift from episode 2 to 3 was very exciting. That here is an episode that's light and fun. But it is also kind of extremely shocking that 180 JNU students escaped from Tihar, and it's incredible, and thank God it's a true story. So I was excited about that. So this scene was actually giving that stage to those students, students even of today, to give them that stage that here you are together protesting against the government in Tihar jail. So I was very excited about that. Although I love the government, and I think. Thank you very much.
If you watch the show, then you know exactly how they escaped. And that is so fun because you're also trying to find out, much like Dahiya and Tomar Sahaba. So, up to you, Dahiya ji, you have to tell me, what was your note or your brief, going in? Because you come in saying, सबको control में लाऊंगा. And again, Tomar Sahaba was like, कीजिए कोशिश कीजिए.
I think ये सीन जब शूट हुआ था हम कर चुके थे 10-15 दिन शूट आई गेस तब तक हम थोड़े रिलैक्स हो चुके थे
वो दिन है जिस दिन इंडिया ऑस्ट्रेलिया से फाइनल मैच हार गया था. It is that.
यस
कभी नहीं.
सो या आई थिंक ब्रीफ जैसा ऐसा कुछ नहीं था मतलब हमें पता ही था कि क्या करना है नहीं करना है what I focus on is the relationship between characters. Me and Tomar साहब हमारा रिश्ता कैसा है मेरा JNU वालों से रिश्ता कैसा है या मैं उनके बारे में क्या सोचता हूँ एज दहिया मैं दिल्ली पुलिस के बारे में क्या सोचता हूँ बीइंग अ जेलर जिससे मैं बात करता हूँ शायद आपको यूनिफॉर्म से पता नहीं चलेगा इस फ्रॉम दिल्ली पुलिस लड़का है तो मेरा कैरेक्टर उनके बारे में क्या सोचता है मेरा कैरेक्टर JNU स्टूडेंट्स के बारे में क्या सोचता है क्या परसेप्शन रखता है और आप देखो कि स्टार्टिंग में बोलता हूँ मार दो दिस दैट बट एज सून एज तोमर साहब कॉल्स मी इज लाइक हाँ सर बिल्कुल ऐसा डाउन बिकॉज इनके सामने भले मैं कितना भी कुछ भी करना चाहूँ आई कैन नॉट डू दैट इन्होंने कहा नहीं तो नहीं फुल स्टॉप है मेरे लिए वो एंड देन मांगड़ को मिलता है तो जब मांगड़ को मिलता है चल भाई अब दिखाता हूँ मैं अब हमारे अंडर है तो इट्स लाइक आई थिंक अगर आपको रिलेशनशिप पता है अपने कैरेक्टर्स से और सामने वाले रिएक्ट कर ही रहे थे सच गुड एक्टर्स यार JNU वाले तो कमाल ही कर रहे थे तो आपको एक्टिंग करने की जरूरत है नहीं आपको ऐसे गुस्सा आ रहा है उनका
Two notes that I want to give in this scene. Sachin Vidrohi was fantastic when he walks onto the scene. He's the third, guy who walks in who later, comes on to play later. And then there's also, Param's eyes. I just feel that there is a shot of just, it's on his face, but
वो देखकर आपको अंदाजा, उनकी आंखें ऐसी बड़ी होती हैं कि ही इज ट्राइंग टू टेक इन द अमाउंट ऑफ प्रिजनर्स हु आर वॉकिंग इन एंड इट प्रोग्रेसिवली गोज बिगर एंड बिगर एंड आई जस्ट थिंक दैट आई विल गो बैक टू दैट शॉट ऑफ हिज ऑन स्क्रीन जस्ट बिकॉज आई कुड अंडरस्टैंड कि उसकी भी फट रही है इवन दो वो चिल्ला रहा है. इट्स अ वेरी फाइन इमोशन टू ड्रॉ, राइट, कि आप कंट्रोल में हो लेकिन आपको पता है कि आप क्या ही कंट्रोल कर पाओगे. राहुल जी, एनीथिंग यूड लाइक टू ऐड इन दिस सीन?
नहीं, आपने सब बोल दिया क्या इसके आगे कुछ है नहीं, लेकिन यही है कि जो ज्ञान मैंने आपको पहले वाले सीन में दिया कि तोमर को लगता है कि वो हमेशा कंट्रोल में है एंड ही फील्स कि तो उसने तो देखा है ना 20 साल से ये सब होते हुए, तो वो कर रहा है इसको एंड उसको बोला चल जाके कर ले. सो आई थिंक तोमर जो है ना ये बड़ा ही बेवकूफ़ किस्म का इंसान है अंदर से एक्चुअली. इसको बहुत अपने ऊपर बहुत कॉन्फिडेंस है और वो जो कॉन्फिडेंस है वो फॉल्स कॉन्फिडेंस अक्सर हो जाती है. और बट ही ऑलवेज थिंक्स दैट ही इज इन कंट्रोल एंड ही कैन कंट्रोल एनी सिचुएशन. सो जैसे सर ने अभी बोला कि भाई सुनील गुप्ता का कैरेक्टर ऐसा है कि जिसको हम ट्रेडिशनली बोले कि जीरो से हीरो, मुझे लगता है तोमर का उल्टा है, हीरो से जीरो. सो ही काइंड ऑफ गोज फ्रॉम दैट हाई टू एट द एंड वी सी हिम गोइंग थ्रू ऑल दैट एंड आई थिंक दैट इज द ब्यूटी ऑफ दिस. जिंदगी में ये जीरो या हीरो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होते दोनों, या तो यहाँ से वो करो या तो वहाँ से यहाँ जाओ, बीच में मत रहो.
I agree with you. Thank you so much and I'm gonna आपको दोबारा से तकलीफ दूंगी. Let's move this way.
That happens in this because it's culminations of many different things. And when you write, you plant and you pay off, and planted lots of things, and you're paying off lots of things in this. And this is again big spoiler alert for those who haven't seen it. This is a revelation of where that in his garden is where the weapons have been found, and this is a thread that we've had through the previous 3 episodes. Is that there are these missing weapons, you don't know where they are. So there's that part of it. It's also how they're going to sort out the jails and the problems that the jail's been having. So many things coming together in the most, entertaining sort of like way where you have the solving of the gang issues and all that sort of stuff happens here. This scene specifically, the one in the garden was very late to the writing process because when we were trying to also add, there's a lot you write your key stuff on the surface level, and then your B stories and your C stories. And because in series it's not the 3-act structure. It's not as simple as saying hero's journey of beginning to ending. There's a lot more that goes into series stuff. And you can have a B story and a C story, and if they all dovetail perfectly, then that's like. But this was late in the process. There was a lot we were trying to do. With like, okay, the weapons were something that came in quite late. How to sort them out came in quite late, and then when the brain wave came that, oh, they can be in Tomar's garden. How is he going to react? And this was an improvised scene completely. This was not written. It's like, he's going to find out, they're going to solve the entire situation, and then Rahul, I'm going to have 2 cameras running, and then you figure it out.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah. It was literally that. It was literally like, I'm like, you do what you want to do. Huh? It's like, it was literally like his work. So we, but, word of warning to everybody, to all actors, very important. Always warm up before you do anything physical because he will tell you why.
तोमर साहब, ये वो वाली कहानी सुना ही दीजिए 30वीं बार. क्या हुआ इस सीन के बाद?
मैं आपको बताऊं, एक तो डायरेक्टर अगर बोलते हैं ना किसी एक्टर को कि अब तू कर बेटा, तो बेटा सबसे पहले सांस ले लो, थोड़ा वार्म अप करो, क्योंकि एक्टर पागल हो जाता है ये सुनते ही. ये शब्द मतलब ये एक्टर्स आर लाइक एल्सेशियन डॉग्स, डायरेक्टर ने बोला छू भागने, रॉटवाइलर्स शुरू हो गए. सो डायरेक्टर इज लाइक क्या बोला, कुछ भी कर, बस हो गए पागल. तो बेटा पागल नहीं होने का, डायरेक्टर बोले कुछ भी कर, कुछ भी नहीं करना है, आराम से रहो, थोड़ा सोचो. और अगर 3-4 मुस्टंडे आपके साथ और हो उस सीन में, जिनको ये भी बोला कि तुम भी कुछ भी कर, तो बेटा कुछ भी नहीं, बहुत कुछ हो सकता है वहाँ. तो क्या हुआ कि पहले तो उस एक्टर को जाना चाहिए उन 4 मुस्टंडों के साथ जो बाकी के एक्टर है, उनको बोलना चाहिए बेटा तुम लोग क्या करने वाले हो, देखो जोर से मत पकड़ना, थोड़ा ऐसे का एक्टिंग करो। मारने का मतलब ये नहीं कि चाकू मार दो किसी को। तो मैं थोड़ा बहक गया उस दिन, और इतना ज्यादा बहका कि मेरी पीठ ही टूट गई।
आपकी पीठ टूट गई, बाप रे।
सो व्हाइल आई वाज डूइंग द सीन, एक आवाज आई, अच्छा ये दूसरा टेक था, एक टेक हो गया था, तो आई सॉ एक टेक जब एक्टर अपने डायरेक्टर की आंखों में देख बहुत अच्छा हो रहा है तो बच्चे बन जाते हैं, ओह अब तो और करेंगे, अब तो और मजा है। तो घुस गए दूसरे टेक में हजूर, अंदर हो गए पागल। तो सडनली बीच में एक आवाज आई मेरे पीछे, कट, ऐसा कट कुछ आया, टक करके कुछ आया। तो मुझे लगा कि मेरा गया। तो मैं जब बोल रहा हूँ ना बीच में, अबे रुक जाओ, एक्चुअली मैं बोल रहा हूँ हरामजादो रुक जाओ,
मेरी पीठ टूट गई है।
रुक जाओ, मैंने बोला रुक जाओ, तो ये सब रुक गए, बट ही डिडंट से कट। तो मैंने कहा ओ माइंड ब्लोइंग। फिर मैं उठा, ओ मारो मारने।
Oh my God.
कभी कभार भगवान भी हेल्प करता है। आई थिंक इट वाज ब्लेसिंग इन डिस्गाइज फॉर पीट कॉन।
Wow.
सो या दैट इज द
Thank you. That's a beautiful. बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। बड़े मजे आए आपको इस सीन में। आपने किस किस्म के मजे लिए इस सीन में, बताइए।
मैंने भी तो मजे लिए सारे। मुझे वो बस वाला सीन याद है, कंडक्टर वाला, आइए आइए। सो एक ही लाइन लिखी थी उसमें कि जाके पंजाब हरियाणा के जेलों की शोभा बढ़ाओ, एक ही लाइन थी स्क्रिप्ट में। तो विक्रम सर ने बोला क्या करने वाला है तू, तो मैंने बोला आप बताओ सर। तो ये ऑब्वियस की तो तुझे क्यों रखा है, मैं बता दूंगा तुझे क्यों रखा है। तो फिर मैंने कहा कि ठीक है सर, सिंपल, यहाँ से बस तक जाऊँगा, ये लाइन बोल दूंगा। सर ने बोला अच्छा ये करेगा, ठीक है ओके। एंड ही वेंट डिसाइड करने जो भी। फिर मैं बस के आसपास टहल रहा था, मुझे खुराफाती सूझ रही थी। मैंने कहा भाई बस पे चढ़ जाता हूँ। तो मैं बस पे चढ़ गया। फिर मैंने बोला सर मैं बस पे चढ़ के ये लाइन बोल दूँ। सर ने बोला चल बोल दे। तो फिर मैंने कहा सर मैं वो कंडक्टर की तरह कर लूँ। सर ने बोला वो भी करेगा, चल कर ले। फिर सर ने एक एक्टर लाया, लवली जो कैरेक्टर है, उसका फर्स्ट डे ऑफ शूट था, जिसको मैं बोलता हूँ जी। तो उसके साथ शूट हुआ नहीं था कुछ भी, इट वॉज हिज फर्स्ट डे, कुछ नहीं शूट हुआ था। आई मेट हिम फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम। तो सर ने बोला इसके साथ कुछ करना चाहता है। मैंने कहा हाँ। तो एक काम करते हैं, जो मेरा स्पॉइलर है, हाथ टूटता है वो इसने तोड़ा है, तो ये हमने शूट नहीं किया था। सर ने बोला अच्छा ठीक है कर ले जो करना है। मैंने उससे बात की, वो भी दिल्ली का निकला, थिएटर वेटर आसपास, हाँ भाई आप जो करना है करो। मैंने कहा ठीक है भाई फिर करते। परम था ही, परम तो कमाल एक्टर है ही। तो हमने कुछ करके फिर करना शुरू किया। और उस दिन आरती भजन चल रहा था कुछ, तो इसलिए मैं लाउड भी कर रहा था, साउंड वाले भी खुश थे, हाँ आप सर करो ना जो करना है। तो बस वो सीन इम्प्रोवाइज होते सर ने बोला फिर अंदर भी कैमरा लगाना पड़ेगा। वो मुझे कोई आइडिया नहीं था क्या होता है, बट मैंने बोला, तो इन्होंने इतना अलाउ किया जो करना है करो। तो मुझे एक मेरी सलाह है कि भाई प्लीज़ गलती करने से मत डरो, प्लीज़ जो करना है कर दो, जितना रायता फैलाना है फैला दो। आपके डायरेक्टर हैं वो आपको मना कर देंगे। हम पहले ही समेट लेते हैं अपने आप को ना कि सटल करना है और कम करना है, परफेक्ट करना है। तो प्लीज़ कर डालो, अच्छे डायरेक्टर्स अच्छे राइटर्स होंगे। और राइटर्स इतने सुंदर लोग हैं, सत्यांशु सर, राकेश सर, यार कौन करने देगा ये सब बकवास, इतना सब कौन बोलने देता है। बट ही वाज लाइक कि बोल दे, फायदा तो मेरा ही है।
Greatest pleasure working with actors like this entire bunch actually on the whole show is that when you allow them to do what they want, when you tell them थोड़ा मतलब 2 पैसा नीचे करते, they understand what that 2 पैसा नीचे means, and that's wonderful. Yeah, 2 पैसा नीचे, 10 पैसा ऊपर. When you start to build that language, and I think that's part of the process with actors, that to become that building of a certain, and that language can be whatever you want. You can talk in Sidney Lumet's book has a wonderful way he talks to actors, and he discovered he said that I'm trying to explain to an actor, little bit, just do in this moment, do a little bit here, do a little bit there. So the actor came back and started speaking to him in musical terms. He's saying, so you want a little bit more flute, a little less oboe, like that's how you want it. I'm like, that is genius. So if you can find whatever your language is that you find with your actors, if you can find that and explain to them,
It'll work.
Amazing.
Beautiful. There's a whole section मुझे बहुत बुरा लगा तुम्हारे लिए personally कि ये जो कर रहे हैं और आप नहीं हो, and there's this crazy betrayal that you face later, and I think that this is all part of that. It's building up, and then there is all of us know what we're talking about. No spoilers. If it's getting spoiled for you, you chose this today. Okay? And there is the part when there is a crazy equation that you have with Dahiya, you know, that is another, we're rooting for the two of you to come back and be friends again. You know, so, and it starts somewhere, you know, around this time. So.
हाँ तो again I think what अनुराग said पहले ही कि it's all about relationships. तो वो समझना बहुत ज़रूरी है कि how does the character see what they're dealing with. तो जब आपको लगता है कि ये तो मेरा दोस्त है, ये मुझ पे भरोसा कर रहा है, और फिर जब आपको पता चलता है कि अरे यार ये तो कुछ अलग ही सोच रहा है, तो वो जो दुख होता है वो मतलब उसका एहसास करना ज़रूरी है. एंड देन दैट इज़ व्हाट इन्फॉर्म्स ईच सीन. तो एपिसोड 6 फॉर एग्जांपल इज़ अ बिग, we kept asking each other, this was a big thing also, and of course with shooting things are always out of order. You're never shooting it because it's money that dictates it, right? Location you can afford for 4 days, you shoot all those scenes. अभी ना आगे पीछे वो सब scheduling के हिसाब से. But we were always figuring out कि चलो where is our cold war right now? So in episode 6 it was like कि how much have we warmed up to each other? ठीक है, we're tolerating each other. अब तो हम same space में रह सकते हैं. उससे पहले शायद हम एक दूसरे मतलब हम नज़र नहीं मिला रहे हैं, हम एक दूसरे को सह नहीं पा रहे हैं. चलो अब तो हम देख रहे हैं, नहीं देख रहे हैं. So what is it? Is it a 10? Is it a 5? Is it a 3? So we're trying to calibrate basis on that always कि इससे पहले क्या हुआ. With Rahul sir also there was like always trying to understand where are you coming from and where are you going. And then by episode 7 then you're seeing the confidence of even like that little bit at the last bit of the scene is कि देखो हमने अभी सब कुछ decide किया है, अब हम बता रहे हैं. And then the confidence is that कि we are both now so strong together. तोमर सर भी पीछे बैठे हैं, वो तो शॉट में नहीं है, I mean जो सीन में है, but we didn't see it. But it informs so many things on the relationship, and 90% of this, to be very honest, is also design. It is all design of the script and then the visual execution of it. To see that strength of the character, to see the shot, to see the stay, the thera, all of that is design. And we are trying to then just give that little bit of sans here and there. कि चलो ठीक है लगे.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, gentlemen. We'll go towards the last scene now. That this is a character who has this sort of sexiness to him, but ये गलत आदमी है, इसने लोगों को मारा है, लेकिन मैं क्यों इससे इतनी अट्रैक्ट हो रही हूँ? है ना, the girls and the boys in the room who felt that energy. Yeah, don't worry, me too. So let's ask Siddhant.
I want to ask all of you, what is this attraction you're feeling towards this serial killer? I really want to know.
I think it's more about the personality, the way he carries himself.
Oh, okay.
Your accent.
Ah, I see.
I think it's the person.
Music in the back.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to feel good about myself.
But I could tell on the second viewing of the show that what you might have done is pronounce your T's. Tell us how you found Chance.
Oh, how do you even I don't know. So the thing is, I think every time you take up a character, you want to find the human in him. And the best part about playing this character is that I couldn't find the human in him. I really couldn't. Every time a human instinct came into my mind, dil tak to pahunchi nahi baat. So he lives in his mind, and it's actually very complex and it's very dark and it's very fascinating. His dialogue with his own self, the little layers, I mean, which I can go on and on about. But the thing is, every time I had an interaction, for instance, this scene, he's not giving into the emotion ki isko zarurat hai. He's giving into the fact that he's the right guy, he's seeing for the job. And he's open to an interaction. It's like, do you really want the job? And that's when he says yes, but then he knows he's good for the job, but he wants to know, will he give up? Or will he stand by? Can he speak? And how strong he is. So I think, the best part is obviously Vikram sir who creates that atmosphere. And I remember I came in to the set. This was my first day. This is the first scene that I shot. And I came as Charles. My only brief inside of my head was in the dialogues that he's like the IG of jail. And I'm in my mind thinking, these guys think so low of me. You know, of course, there is no extent to thinking of, to feeling the ownership. And so that's how it began. And I remember I was on the set and he creates just the right energy and the right atmosphere. And I was feeling all of that, feeling like Charles on the first day. And I met him and I knew the casting will be great. And he actually just gave me everything I needed in the scene. I was just literally just speaking to him. I was just seeing him. I was doing nothing. And that was the most beautiful part about playing this character, that I was really doing nothing. I was just seeing. And I was just asking, do you really want the job? And he's like, yes. Okay, do you know who I am? No, it's okay. I'm just asking. Wait for me. You know, I know he's the right guy. And I come back and then, you know, it's like, there's a lot of corruption and all of that, you know, and in between you need someone for balance and you need someone of your own. So he wants to just earn his loyalty and all of that. And he doesn't give in to that later. So that's the entire arc.
I love it. I love that little tension between the two of you all. कि वो नई दुल्हन है, शर्मा रही हैं, और आप हैं यहाँ जेल के मामी जी. I'm sorry, I moved you from IG to Mami ji. It's still not good enough for you. I know that. He's like, what? You call me Mami ji? But you know what? Like, you know, like you've been there. Okay, you own this house, you own this place, and she's nayi dulhan, right? Yeah. So she comes in, and he's almost like, you know, looking at him saying, "मैं तुझे, you know, you want to get in, you gotta be good to me, right?" And but I
Chachi ji.
Chachi ji. No, Mami ji is better.
Chachis are the bitchy ones.
Yes, Chachi. I love it. Chachis are the bitchy ones. Is a takeaway from this. But I want to take this to Satyanshu for a second. Satyanshu, I can't imagine how fun it might have been to write lines for Charles Shobhraj. What did you have to do to figure कि ये आदमी कैसे बात करता है या फिर ये क्या? What could he have said?
See, the long answer is quite boring. I did a lot of study on people like them.
Don't give us the boring answer.
But the best part was to actually try to think like him. Yeah, really. And one thing that I kind of caught on to early on in the writing process was that these people make you feel very special. They actually make you feel special. They make you feel very important. So you'll see that throughout. Even when he is angry, you will see in episode 7, there's a moment where he actually shouts at Sunil. And then the way Siddhant has played it, shuts his eyes and it's almost like he's telling himself, how could you lose your cool? Because these people are very cold and clinical. So they are like playing a game of mental chess all the time. So it was absolutely fun to imagine how this person would speak in different scenarios, but it comes down to making the other person feel special and making them feel that they are in control, but actually you are controlling them.
It's like Shah Rukh Khan, but a serial killer, right? Yeah, I mean, that's what he does. He'll always make you feel like you're the only person in the room, but except Charles will take everything that you want. So it's amazing.
Any notes on people who might not know how to speak like somebody who's not, you know, who they're like, you know? For example, how do you do accents? You know, that would be a very useful tip.
Again, this is very to each his own process, but and someone asked me this and I kept thinking, how do you explain this? Because you just have to watch his videos that's available at least 1,000 times for all the rhythm and how it's resonating and how far is it reaching or how impactful it is on what are the impulses, where is it exactly coming from and why is it coming from. And he's a thought through fellow. So again, I think that entire psychology leading up to, and when you start to become that person, feel like that person, these things, they start to, you know, these things follow. It's like you write music and the melody starts to follow. you know. So it's you write the right words and the melody will start to follow. So it's I mean, just a little bit, if we treat it as a song, you think of it as a song that you hear. It's someone else's song, someone else's voice in your head, and more you sing it, better you get at the song, right? And it's not your voice, but it's someone else's voice, and then you try and reach as close to that person's voice, because you want to sing that song like that person, because you like that song. That's why it's playing in your head. So it's all about being interested in what you're doing and falling in some way, you know, just like accepting that character inside of you.
Thank you so much.
Just to fill me, just to fill me.